Sixth pick in the second round of the 2016 NWSL College Draft, FC Kansas City selects Katie Bowen, University of North Carolina.
Very interesting.
Boston Breakers are now on the clock.
Just as I said that they don't like internationals other than U.S. internationals.
Katie Bowen is a New Zealand international out of North Carolina. Good college career, excellent international resume. The question has been, will she play in the NWSL? And we've heard varying accounts of that. Some say, oh, she's definitely going to Europe. Some say she's going to try to go to Europe. Some just don't know. And so I don't know if FC Kansas City knows. We're going to have to find out if they have the inside track on this. But if Katie Bowen, or when Katie Bowen came to the NWSL, a player who can step in and certainly fit that style.
Well, and clearly New Zealand will be going to the Olympics. They still haven't done the final round of qualifying, but it was just them versus Papua New Guinea. So you know that even if she comes to NWSL, again, she's gone for the Olympics too. But a great acquisition regardless of when she joins your club. You know, it's just the question is when.
Here's FC Kansas City. Sydney Leroux, the key off-season acquisition, just picked up this week. Of course, she was looking to move there, and you'd hope that she would thrive there after hadn't really gotten going with Western New York. Heather O'Reilly, Becky Sauerbrunn, Nicole Barnhart, all still there. Lauren Holiday, Amy LaPelbit, among those out. We told you Leanne Robinson or Brown, and Amy Rodriguez is going to be unavailable for a lot of the year. So it seems like kind of a hedging pick. When she comes to NWSL, we'll have her rights, unless Kansas City knows something we don't. And she's ready to come, as you said, for the part of the season prior to the Olympics.
With the fifth pick in the third round of the 2016 NWSL College Draft, Seattle Reign FC selects Paige Nielsen, the University of North Carolina.
And there you go. You were saying North
Western
Carolina
New York
could have
Flash
some more.
is now on the clock.
They weren't done. Now, we've seen it reported that Paige Nielsen has a contract in place in Germany. So this could be a pick of wanting to have her rights if and when she comes back. I don't have the details on that, but I had seen that reported that Paige Nielsen was set to play in Germany, but she's been with North Carolina since they won the national title in 2012. Didn't come in as a center back, but played in the middle of the defense last year, and again, as kind of an option to have later, an asset to have, potentially a player to come in. This is the time of the draft where you start to make those choices.
Well, and we saw a lot of leadership ability from Paige Nielsen this year, is having to come in, play a different position, kind of marshal a very young back line for North Carolina. You know, those leadership skills have to be beneficial at this level. And we know that historically Laura Harvey has a lot of European connections. I don't know if they extend into the Frauen Bundesliga.
Right.
But Paige Nielsen getting time, or at least getting a tryout or a potential contract with Turbine Potsdam is huge, because that's a club that is very regularly in the Women's Champions League. So if she's got an opportunity to do that, that is huge. And she could still come back, since their season ends at the beginning of June, she could still come back and be part of the Seattle Reign club, especially when you get to the part where, as we keep mentioning, the U.S. national team players and other national team players will leave for Olympics.
With the eighth pick in the third round of the 2016 NWSL College Draft, FC Kansas City selects Alexa Newfield, the University of North Carolina. Chicago Red Stars are on the clock.
Another Tar Heel slotting in there in the third round, someone who's battled injuries throughout her career, Alexa Newfield to Kansas City.
I like the note you had about Alexa Newfield from Anson Dorrance. My best player.
Yeah, that's a simple one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that says a lot.
When you hear that from a person like Anson Dorrance, that says a lot. She gone through a lot in her career, transferred from Georgia, a lot of injuries, and she's one of the older players, right? She's already 24, but there's a chance for her there, and she'll get a look, and that kind of continues. You know, North Carolina hasn't had the dominant college seasons of the past, and so we're seeing the players go maybe a little bit later in the draft than you would expect, but they're still getting looks. We've now seen Bowen, Nielsen, and Newfield go, and so the ACC, as you would expect, still contributing. We saw it on the men's side, people saying, hey, he came from the ACC, I know he's going to be a player.
Right.
The women's side, it's very much the same thing, because day in, day out, those are tough games and difficult assignments.
Well, and especially knowing that Anson Dorrance has seen so many players make the transition from North Carolina to playing the pros, that he knows what these players need to do to make it to that next level. you know, they're going to deliver. And I mean, when you're described as my best player by a coach like Anson Dorrance, I don't think there's anything more that can really be said about that. A great acquisition for them to pick up. Who knows how she'll be used in the lineup. And again, I mean, we haven't heard anything about her going overseas, but for a lot of these players, even if they choose not to come into the league, whether they're decide to finish out their degree first before playing or have other plans, you know, Kansas City still has dibs.
With the 10th and final pick of the third round of the 2016 NWSL College Draft, Seattle Reign FC selects Summer Green, University of North Carolina. That concludes the third round. We'll take a very brief 3-minute break between rounds before we commence the fourth round.
So not exactly what I had in mind as far as an international player who might have European aspirations, but it is someone not ready right away. Summer Green, another North Carolina player, really dangerous, and she's actually one of the youngest players in the draft. She enrolled early, so she's a 95 birthday. Tore her ACL in the fall, won't be available certainly until mid-season, but when she comes back, Jen, this could be a bit of a steal to get her at number 30. She's a dangerous player.
So they're planting seeds for this summer.
Yes.
There's our horrible pun for the broadcast. Yeah, I mean, we knew that one team was going to take a chance on Summer Green, knowing that she's got a great pedigree, and yeah, she's young enough, she can come back from an ACL. And with so many of these rosters being pretty loaded, it's like you can risk the spot on her, even if she never plays. Well, hey, at least we have the rights.
Summer Green, 16 goals her first 2 years at North Carolina. He was an impact sub on their national championship team, limited by injuries the last couple of years out of Milford, Michigan. She's another one who's on that under-20 Women's World Cup team. She was an impact sub on that team as well. Mostly a wide player, tricky winger, and again, if she can get back to full health, whether it's late this year or all the way around for 2017, that's a big pickup for Laura Harvey. And again, you said she talked about planning for the future. I think she's one of the only 1995 birthdays in the draft. So almost, if she waited even a full year and didn't play until 2017, that would almost be her normal draft class. So you kind of get a head start on what is a very loaded 2017 draft.
And as we saw with their one pick last year, Seattle picked Havana Solon. Didn't play the entire season due to injury, but has come back from that and is now in camp with the U.S.
It's a great
under
comparison.
23s.